Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Maybe you have a unique experience you'd like to share as a guest. Podmatch helps you connect with guests and hosts who have similar interests, experiences, and goals, making sure that each connection is meaningful and impactful. Thanks to Podmatch, I've connected with parents and caregivers worldwide and supported them in sharing their stories on Quiet Connection. If you'd like to check them out, visit www.joinpodmatch.com/Quiet Connection Podcast and learn more. Welcome to Quiet Connection, a podcast dedicated to ending the stigma around postpartum mental health. I'm Chelsea. This week, I'm connecting with Marissa, a licensed mental health professional, author, and advocate for moms' mental health. Marissa is passionate about shifting the narrative surrounding motherhood, highlighting the need for more open discussions about the difficulties of parenting and the importance of recognizing that these challenges can lead to mental health issues. Let's hear from Marissa. Hello! Today I'm here with Marissa. Marissa, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to finally get to chat with you. Marissa is another very gracious guest who has dealt with me through my various life challenges and has had to reschedule a few times. Well, I had to reschedule, so we appreciate you.
No worries.
So I know we were just talking about this off recording, but I'll ask you what I ask all my guests. I would love it if you could introduce yourself and tell us who you were before coming into your parenting journey.
That's a great question. What was the first part?
Who are you now? Who are you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So who am I now and then who I was before? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say that where I'm at in my healing journey, I am so happy to say that it's very similar, but I totally get the question and I totally get what you're saying. I'd say I'm passionate about sharing about my journey and what came out of that I think is so important, which of course we'll dive into, that I wasn't even there before. But I mean, things about myself, energetic, goofy, fun. Thank God those things have stayed the same.
Have stayed.
Yeah. But to do kind of a side-by-side, guilt is something I didn't quite have a relationship with until I became a parent. A control. I didn't know I was a controlling person until I became a parent. Like, oh my gosh. It's almost like I felt like I was and still am a high achieving person, but somehow I could stay on top of it or feel like it was working until I became a parent. It was like, oh wow, I'm failing miserably, and this high achieving personality is not serving me. So there you have it.
I think a lot of us feel that way. I think a lot of us, when we become parents, we're like, whoa, I don't have the control that I thought I did.
Yeah. And maybe I shouldn't be so controlling. Yeah.
What kind of things were you into? Like what filled your cup and maybe does again?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, a lot of the same things. Still high achieving go-getter. What's next? What am I working towards? I love being social, hanging out with people. I kind of definitely have a bit of this hard work, hard play kind of mentality, which, gosh, becoming a parent, I lost the hard play and it was a lot of hard work. But I don't know, maybe you're looking for like specific fun facts. I don't know. I don't know that I have too many.
It's anything you want to share. Well, you're a licensed mental health professional.
Yes.
You are.
Yeah.
And I would assume that is a piece of your identity.
It is, yeah. And I totally did a 180 after becoming not just a parent, but having a horrific thrust into parenthood that I realized, wait a minute, I'm already a licensed mental health professional. I need to do something with this. So completely changed and of course became more meaningful and purposeful at that point.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we can get right into the meat of this. It sounds like you're ready.
I am. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask, like, so What was that journey like for you? Did you always picture yourself having children?
I did. Yeah. And I was an older mother, which I think is relevant because I think, I mentioned that high achieving personality. I think the older that I was, just I had more and more experiences of, yeah, I've got this and I can conquer this and do this, and maybe more set in my ways perhaps too. So I was 30, almost 36. Or was I 36? It's all a blur, but late 30s.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, and I had planned for and wanted a family. I don't want to be hard on myself, but I can kind of say I was naive as to what it was. But I also got thrown a lot of curveballs, as I know you did too.
Yeah.
So I suppose there are, I think I can say this. I suppose there are kind of picture perfect. I don't mean that any parent has it easy, but there are, the birth was beautiful and the baby's so easy. I know that does exist, and that certainly would have helped. And it's still hard. So I guess to sum up, I was blindsided. I was absolutely blindsided by my experience of it, and it was confusing. I didn't have the birth experience I wanted. It's not so much my story, but it's relevant. And then I didn't have the bond that I had. I didn't even know it was normal and common not to have that bond. I'd seen all the movies and all the commercials, right? That when you see your baby for the first time and the mom is crying.
Yeah.
And I felt numb, shocked,
yes,
underwhelmed for a long time. And then right out of the gate, she had this scream that you could hear across the football field. And a lot of people commented, even the pediatrician who had been in practice for like 35 years, like, whoa. So that was a bit jarring, that she's screaming. And then from there, it was just one hurdle after another. I know this is so cliche, but I have forgotten some of it, but I'll never forget that it was horrendous.
Yeah.
I'm trying to breastfeed and learning all of that. The latch wasn't going great. I soon learned that I wasn't producing enough milk. She wasn't gaining enough weight. This is such a common thing that happens. And I think probably mostly because I didn't have that bond, I'm just like, what is happening? Yeah. Like, this is awful. Like, this is awful. And I feel so trapped and so stuck. And it just feels like it just keeps snowballing. That scream that I mentioned just kept going. She had acid reflux, which just translates into colic, and trying to soothe a crying baby. And this might sound silly, but it was like the overwhelm of everything, including like the car seat or the stroller. Like I think I was about ready to lose it when it's like, how does this contraption unfold and come back together? It's such a small thing, right?
Yeah.
I just remember feeling like nothing is easy. Like I could cry right now, like nothing. Like, why can't just one thing? And looking back, maybe there was one or two things, but it didn't matter because it was masked by soothing the crying baby and trying to breastfeed, and is she gaining enough weight, and how do I work this damn stroller or car seat?
Yes.
And there was zero joy, just zero joy. And the anxiety that I felt really pretty quickly turned to despair. Just absolute despair. Like this is my life. And it's like you could just see the soul and life just begin to suck out of me. But what began to happen is I started to feel confused. And I know like listeners are like, okay, this is another. Not that they're bored, but okay, I know this story. This is postpartum depression, but this takes a turn. It really takes a turn because something isn't quite right. And I'm already a licensed mental health professional. You would think that I would just be like, okay, I don't know. I don't know what my expectations were of myself.
Like self-diagnose, be like,
maybe.
Oh, I know exactly. Yeah.
Maybe. But what initially, I mentioned despair, and it's almost like I want to separate that feeling from like this clinical depression, because I wasn't depressed yet, but it's almost like I could logically and clearly say, this is awful, but I'm not depressed. And that's a distinction that's important. It's really important to my story, and I think it's important for a lot of moms, because I feel like we just want to be so quick to diagnose and to say, well, that's the onset of postpartum depression. And I remember going to the 6-week OBGYN appointment, and I'm reading this questionnaire, which I am not a fan of. So
well, neither am I. Yeah.
Okay, love that. I can't even remember the name of it.
It's the Edinburgh scale. Yes.
Yes. Awful. I appreciate the effort and the sensitivity to postpartum mood disorders, but I wish the questions were more relatable.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to throw that survey chuck it across the office. And I lied on every question because I just had no interest in talking about this. I really was hoping it was temporary. I was so desperately hoping it was temporary, but it didn't. It got worse. But if I were, I'm sure we all have a different take on if we could rewrite that survey or questionnaire. But it's like I was looking for something to really, really validate me. Like, are you secretly wondering why anyone would ever have a baby?
Yeah.
Mostly, somewhat, a little bit, not at all. Or I think everyone would love this question. Is this way harder than you thought?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. So, okay. So there's that. But what I'm trying to get at is this confusion. And I do eventually, I resign that this is postpartum depression. And I start researching and reading everything I can get my hands on. And I'm reading books, and I kept waiting for the chapter that says, this is really hard. And I never found that chapter. I get that these professionals are talking about, look, there's variables and there's sleep deprivation and there's all these things. But it was still like, you have this mental illness and treatment's available and it's not your fault. And I can appreciate that, but I still kept waiting and it's hard. Why isn't anyone talking about that?
Yeah.
So fast forward, I'm still resigned to postpartum depression, right? That's kind of my tagline or party line, okay, I'm willing to go there. I have postpartum depression. I'm a clinician. I want to learn more about this, but something is still gnawing at me. And I go to a training. There's actually a couple moments that were like huge light bulb moments. And I go to this training, and the professional who is an expert in perinatal mood disorders is going over the causes, the usual causes I'd always heard. Drastic hormonal changes, history of depression or anxiety, lack of support, maybe some other changes happening. And I don't hear what I'm looking for. So I raise my hand and I say, well, what about a mom who doesn't enjoy it and isn't liking it because of how overwhelming and challenging it is? And she says to me, that sounds pathological. I was like, what did she just say?
I know, listeners, you can't see my face, but I just was like, what? What?
Clinician, I should even know what that meant. To me, it sounded like a serial killer. So I was kind of in shock, So here's this professional that, not only can she not validate me, she's going off this, way off the deep end there. So that left an impression. And I really wasn't as offended as I should be.
Yeah.
But it really got me thinking. I kept thinking. And then I had another professional who was absolutely on my side. And she actually ended up being a collaborator on a book that I wrote. And she said, I wonder if you actually had postpartum depression. And I'm kind of looking at her kind of cross-eyed. She said, I know that's a funny question, but that question was so incredibly helpful. So here's my main point, and what I'm just passionate about is that I believe that what happened to me and what happens to a lot of parents, I want to include dads and say parents, but I do tend to say moms a lot and focus on moms, but I definitely want to be inclusive. But what I think happens to a lot of them is that because it's so challenging. Like, I just stand firmly by that. I'm not saying it is for all parents, but I think for a lot of parents, postpartum, especially postpartum, but parenthood is incredibly challenging. And I think it can cause depression. And I don't hear it talked about like that. And that's my everything. And I think if I'd had that validation, I think if I'd had a social media following, not following for me, but like I had followed something or had professionals that just said, no wonder you're struggling. No wonder you're having a hard time. Look at all these things that you are having to deal with. Let's get ahead of it so that you don't develop depression. Or if I had already developed depression, fine. We're still gonna address it, but how I got there matters. And when I'm hearing about the onset of postpartum depression, it infuriates me because I did not have an onset of a mental illness. And I know I'm talking so fast. I don't mean to add to the stigma of mental illness, especially as a clinician. I don't, but it's just so crystal clear what I went through, that there was a lack of validation and normalization of how hard it is, and that it can actually cause depression, which is very different than saying, oh, you're not bonded and you're unhappy and you're not enjoying this, you must have postpartum depression. And I'm like, that's such bullshit. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have an explicit warning. You're sort of flipping the script a little bit. And so rather than postpartum depression being the cause, it is the result of the circumstances.
It's the reverse. It's
and I totally am also reiterating that you are validating that both are true for some people. Of course. So for a lot of people, like when we say 1 in 5 birthing people develop a perinatal mood and anxiety disorder, that can come from previous history of mental health. That can come from hormonal imbalance. That can come from, and I'm super interested to talk to you more about this. There is a shift starting to happen in the sort of mom culture where we are talking more about burnout, and we are talking about mental load, and we are talking about how hard it is and how that can cause depression. That can be a cause for anxiety. And you're absolutely right. Like when so listeners who are familiar with the show know that I don't do a lot of research on my guests, but I have all of my guests fill out a little tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
And when I read that you had said, I don't think I had postpartum depression, I think I developed depression, I was like, that's really interesting. For me, it was just like when your friend asked you, it was like, that's a new take, and one that I'd really love to talk about. But what also resonated, so many of the things that you said are things that all of my guests say, and things that we're seeing on social media, saying that I did not have that magical golden hour where they put the baby on my chest and the rainbows flew over my head, and I didn't have that at all. That would have been wonderful.
I know.
I didn't have that with either of my kids. And to be breastfeeding is hard, and it is not something that comes naturally to everyone. And being so mad at the damn car seat. How does the car seat click into this stroller, and why is it not happening? All of it is so relatable.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, especially like you said, you're a mental health clinician. You thought I should have figured this out. I don't know. Why is nobody talking about how hard it is? Let's dig into that a little bit. You mentioned it so briefly, the shame.
Yeah.
What was that feeling like when you're going through everything and hating it? It sounds like.
Yeah.
What did that sort of do to your
self-esteem,
your thoughts on yourself, your self-esteem, your vision of yourself as a parent, as a person, as a partner? What was that like?
Awful. Yeah. Excellent question, for sure. Yeah, I didn't have a name for what I was going through, which is what my mission is and what I'm trying to do. And I really felt like I was faced with two options. I have this mental illness, which is fine, but it wasn't clicking. Like this just
It
it
didn't
didn't make
resonate with you.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what's my other option? I'm a monster, right? Like that's it. Which again is why I'm so passionate. We need it. We need more options. We need way more options than the two. And I hope it doesn't. I hope it can come out clear where I don't want to stigmatize these very valuable diagnoses, especially in the perinatal period. But we need more options.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I did. I wish I had more things to follow. I was late to the social media game. I didn't even have a Facebook page. This was 11 years ago. I wasn't really into social media, and I see now the value of social media in hearing from other moms, other stories. And I agree with you. I think there is trends in validating parenthood, even regret. I think on Reddit and even on Facebook forums where you can anonymously share. It's not that almost all of them say I love my kids and
Yeah.
I regret it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't. To answer your question, I didn't have any of that, and I felt at first I thought it was just embarrassment for having the postpartum depression, but now it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't have any of that validation or normalization as to what I was going through. And I was cautious with who I shared this with, right? Because
Yeah.
I think majority are happy, and not to say that they're not tired and overwhelmed, but happy to enter into parenthood. And they obviously want to keep doing it because we see these large families. So it's a little bit, you know what it was? It was an identity crisis, not just for society, like where do I fit in with society, but also my own expectations. Because as I said, I wanted a family. I thought two or three kids, that'll be great. And because I'm older, I'll have them back to back, like I'm knocking out college courses. I have one. I will say that right now. I have one for a reason, because it's not like knocking out college courses. So I had an identity crisis in addition to shame and embarrassment. I know I keep saying this, but this is just why I'm passionate to help remove that shame. And even, I use the word stigma attaching to mental illness, but there's a huge stigma of if you don't like parenthood, you're going to get kicked out of the tribe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Again, reiterating, I think the shift is starting to happen. I think we're starting to see it. It's kind of in its infancy. And those of us that are being louder about it have to kind of be brave, because you will get the people that are like, you chose to have your children. And how could you say this? And how could you think that? And there are still a lot of people on social media pushing the narrative that this is beautiful and I didn't know who I was before I was a mom. Right? Right. And we can laugh about it, but the reason we're laughing about it is because that's great for you. That's great for you. That was not my experience, and my experience is just as valid as your experience, and we have to be able to talk about both. There has to be room in the conversation for all experiences. So I think it's starting to happen, and I really hope it continues to happen. Because just like you said, and I say this all the time, this is not about me, but when something resonates, I did have postpartum depression with my first. I remember the day that I told my husband, I was like, I regret that we did this. And I remember his reaction, and I remember how hard it was to say that. So I don't think it's as uncommon as people think. To that point, who did you trust with those feelings? Who were you able to talk to? Anybody?
Oh my gosh. I think it was as I was healing and as I was gaining confidence and kind of processing out loud in a safe place. So when I was in this training, it was a really small training, small intimate training, and I had gotten that response of that sounds pathological. When we had gone out to dinner with there's maybe 5 or 6 of us, someone said, "What did you think when she said that?"
Yeah.
It's her way. It's probably her way of saying like that was an asinine comment that she made. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Another comment that got made is, it was another training, and I was still grappling with whether or not to have another because my husband wanted another, and that was so hard. But one of the other clinicians, because I'm at a training, she had said, maybe you could adopt. And I thought, wow. So she thinks, which again, this is common if we look at depression, postpartum depression from a clinical biological. I know it's all the things, but
Yeah.
she was thinking we can bypass it. And I'm looking at her going, I'm like, in a way, her question helped me. All these comments, even though they were a bit offensive, they all helped me, right? Because I could see like there's something missing from this conversation.
Yes.
I'm like, wait a minute, you don't hear what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I don't find this baby thing, particularly baby, maybe even toddler stage, I don't find it particularly enjoyable. So how can I bypass it through adoption?
Right. Let's skip ahead and just hand me the baby.
Yeah, hand me, I guess.
All of those challenges are still going to be there.
Yeah. But I think to answer your question, I didn't feel, it's like, I think when I started opening up about it, there was maybe a period of time where it was exploratory, curious. And her question, I mean, yeah, she didn't quite get me, but again, it was helpful. And my wheels are always turning. Like, what is this? And then finally, when I landed on it, I'm like, I know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't like this thing, and I'm allowed to say that. And I know I'm not alone. So let's begin this mission to start talking about postpartum depression in a very different way that I didn't think was being talked about.
Yeah. How did you approach that? Like, where was the shift?
Yeah, so the clinician who ended up being a collaborator on my book, she's a professional. Her name is Shoshana Bennett, and she's written some books on postpartum depression. And her and I started collaborating, and I knew I wanted to write a book. It's my brand, Postpartum Happiness: What to Do When You Love the Kids But Hate the Job. And even that, I'm actually looking to rebrand. I want it really more in your face. Something like, it's not you. Motherhood is really effing hard. And it will relate to those who need it, and it won't relate to those who don't. It might piss people off, and that's okay. And something around like how the hype of motherhood like may have failed you.
Yeah.
So my book just was so much fun to write. And like I said, I want to rebrand it. And then I started specializing myself in perinatal mood disorders, and I could see in my own clients, like, oh yeah, I already knew that, but it just clarified, I'm not alone. And yeah. I could validate them. The way I needed to be validated, and saying, yeah, given everything you're going through, I get why you're not happy right now. And I want to be clear too, it's not that I shun away from mental health treatment. I absolutely talk about antidepressants. I should have gotten on one. I didn't. I think it was because I felt so invalidated. I think it was harder, whereas a really smart clinician would have said, look, I get how you got here, and maybe it's not typical for postpartum depression, but you are depressed, so let's get you, the help and treatment that you need. And I can do that now with my clients.
Yeah.
So it might sound like I contradict myself. It's more like clarifying how postpartum depression can happen, I said, versus the onset. And I think we can prevent it, which I think the way it's written now, the narrative around postpartum depression, it's harder to prevent. Unless you have a history, but I think a lot of parents don't have that history. I don't know. I don't know all the statistics.
Yeah. I think so. What I'm definitely not getting that you're like invalidating perinatal mood, like PMADs. I'm not getting that narrative at all. No, I think what I'm getting it. Well, through your lived experience and through your very much warranted need to be validated, you are now, like you said, incredibly passionate about sharing that because you're not alone. You're not alone. And recognizing too that like however you get to the point that you're at, whether it be hormonal, whether it be predisposition, whether it be that this is really not what you expected.
Yeah.
You are worthy and deserving of help.
Right.
And you are worthy and deserving of validation and support. That kind of translates to my next question, which is, I kind of anticipate the answer to this, but did you have, so we're all sort of fed the story that you become a mother and you have this village. We all hear about the village. We all hear about it. Did you have support? Did you have that village throughout those early days?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes and no. If I could go back in time, I would have hired a nanny or someone to come in. That's what I should have had. My mom was working and out of state. She came for a little bit. My husband was great, but I was in this whirlwind and in despair. I think too, as much as I can talk about my disdain for being responsible for this newborn that I'm not connected to, that's crying, I also felt this enormous sense of responsibility. It's weird, right? Like on the one hand, I want to run away, but I can't. So I'm here and I'm going to be this. It's not that I wanted to be an attentive mother. It's that maybe it's that type A personality. Like I said, I didn't know I was a controlling person until I became a parent. So I became controlling too. And my husband couldn't do it fast enough or right enough. I wish I'd leaned into him more. And I talked to my clients about that, to work through that. But no, I didn't have a ton of support, but that's not to say it wasn't available. We should have hired somebody, bottom line.
Yeah. Well, and again, I hate cliches, but like hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
Like, if you could go back and change it, if I could go back and change it, oh my gosh, there's a million things I would do different. But I think the reason I ask that question too is it tells me a little bit more about, and like you said, like that type A, like overachiever, like was there a lack of a village, which 9 times out of 10 there is,
gosh, yeah.
And were you also of the mindset of like, I'm supposed to be doing this?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm supposed to do this and I'm supposed to like it.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Yeah. I never questioned it. It was just blissfully being pregnant, close to my due date. Like I remember seeing a poster in my OBGYN's office of the importance of skin-to-skin contact, right? It's like a mom and the bare chest. They're both bare-chested, right? And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's going to be me and my baby all the time. Like I said, kind of naive. But yeah, I think the naivety is because we don't have enough out there preparing moms, because we don't want to be the negative Nancy and all of that. But as you said, as there's more maybe social trends saying it can be great, we hope it's great, and it might not, and let's talk about it.
Yeah, yes. And I think also what's great about the people that are talking about it is I'm going to use I'll say we because I'm talking about it too. But like, we're not out to discredit everybody else or invalidate anybody else's experience. We just want to be heard too. Just like you were like, hey, can someone just say this is really freaking hard?
Yeah.
Can someone please just say that? So yeah, there's almost a sense of pride in being able to say, this fucking sucks, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it, and I love my child.
Yeah.
But why did nobody tell me how hard this is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, like, and like you said, like you wanted to have children, this was a plan, and like I have worked with children my entire teen and adult life, like, right, like I I was like, this is going to be easy. I know. I was an infant teacher for years. I was like,
Wow.
I know how to do all the things. And I still was like, what the hell is going on here? Why did nobody talk about this? Like the screaming that you're talking about. Like, why won't you stop screaming?
My gosh.
Like,
Yeah.
So I don't even know where I was going with that. It's so relatable.
Yeah.
It's so very relatable. And like I said before, like there needs to be space in the conversation for all experiences. So moving through that, and I loved seeing you light up like when you talked about writing your book and how excited you were to get your story out there so that others could connect with you. When or how did things start to evolve for you and your relationship to your daughter? Like, when did that start to evolve, or is it still evolving?
Like my role as a parent, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely say I lost myself in motherhood, like you mentioned, self-esteem and confidence. And so, my confidence came back. I think I could confidently say this parent thing is hard and it's not my favorite. I certainly don't love it enough to do it again. And I'm learning to not control. My daughter might say otherwise. She's like preteen, but learning. I'm trying to think like what to hone in on. I think I can say like I don't love being a mom per se. I mean, it's definitely way easier than it used to be, but I think I've just eased into it. And like I said, when you kind of said, what were your interests before and after, or who are you now before and after? I'm so grateful that, yes, I lost myself, but I definitely regained myself. And now I have just a sense of purpose that I would have never had, without going through all this. So it's evolved in many ways for sure. But I'm not someone that's going to say, this is kind of something I'm not a big fan of too. I think that there's an undertone with the tagline with postpartum depression that, it's not your fault, and with treatment you can get better. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think there's this hope like, oh, okay, once I get better, I'm going to love it. And you might like my healing wasn't like, oh, now I'm part of society and I love it. Like, no, I learned to love myself despite not loving it. And my new identity, right? My new identity is, I thought I loved being a mom, and I realized I don't. I have one child. What is it like for our family to have one child and to recreate my identity, knowing that I still love my career and being an entrepreneur and being someone that has this mission now, which is very separate from my role of being a mom. Anyways.
Yeah. No, it's so I'm curious if this will resonate with you. I'm using resonate a lot. I just said every time like I do an episode, I pick this like one word unknowingly and I use it a lot. But I wonder if this will resonate with you. Like I was that way. I have 2 children, but I was a one and doneer. I said like, never doing this again. I'm never doing this again. This is not what I expected. And then I ultimately did. Yeah. But I used to say, I don't like being a mom, but I love being my kid's mom.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like the job.
Yeah.
But I'm proud to be the mother of my child.
Yeah.
Like, does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that. And you're getting me thinking, because I think it's always been, I love my kid, but I don't love being a mom. But you're right. Yeah, it is being her mom for sure. I still don't like feeling this sense of responsibility.
I don't either. No, I don't either. And I did it again, but like intentionally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started over when my kids are 7 years apart. So I'm cuckoo bananas. But I get that. I get that feeling, and that definitely sits with me. I can relate to that. And I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, So you had said, is your daughter 11?
Yeah.
She 10? She's 11.
Yeah.
Okay. And like you said, like it's definitely easier now than what it was. Another thing that's being passed around right now is that like nothing ever stays the same in parenting and in life. So like you're just going to find new challenges, and what's challenging now isn't going to be challenging 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
Yeah.
My oldest is 9 and we are, whoa. So, that 9, 10, 11, those 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, they're a different breed than when I was 9, 10, 11. I was listening to Britney Spears and singing into my hairbrush. And that is not these 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. Like,
No.
They're made of something different.
Yeah.
So what I think I'm getting at is like reiterating, hearing you again say like, yeah, this is still challenging, but you feel empowered in yourself where you didn't when she was tiny.
Gosh. Yeah. Well, I lost so much freedom.
Yeah.
And the payoff just wasn't there, probably because I didn't have that bond. It's like, this blows. Who would sign up for this? Whereas now, she's a bit of a pill and whatnot, but she can wipe her own butt,
Exactly. Yes, right. The challenges are different and you can handle them differently. You're at a different stage in your life and but yeah, it just makes me think of the Adam Sandler, what was that movie? Was it Big Daddy? I wipe my own ass. Yes, great. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
But yeah, but then that comes with preteen hormones, and that comes with Mom, you're the worst, and Mom, I hate you, and why do I have to do everything you tell me to do? So as you were navigating this, as you were figuring this out, as you were looking for that validation, and then coming to find like, no, this is common and I'm not alone. In that, what were some ways that you started to find yourself again? Like we often hear the words self-care and we hear coping skills and coping skills are incredibly important. Self-care kind of irks me because the things that people say are self-care are basic needs.
Basic needs. Oh, seriously. A shower.
Like that's not self-care. That's basic need. There's a commercial right now for All Free and Clear, and it's a woman saying like, all free and clear is part of my self-care regimen. And I'm like, laundry is not self-care.
No.
So that's a tangent, but what were some of the ways that you were able to start finding yourself again?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was taking personal responsibility for my happiness. And because I felt like I had lost myself and lost so many of these freedoms, I could slowly, through my own awareness and willingness, integrate those things back in. Of course, life is going to look different. It's not going to be exactly the same. Maybe we're not ready to do the weekend getaway that we used to do, but can we do a morning together and have a babysitter or whatever it may be? Leaning into my husband a lot more. I just felt protective of him. I knew he was tired. But what I say to my clients, it's like that you're drowning and you're looking up and, wondering how much water is in his cup, and you're drowning, like let's really get you above water and trust that he's okay. Most men are singular focused. Yes, they might be tired, but they just go in and they get it done. Whereas we're emotional. And so I started leaning into him more and trusting he's got this. He's got this. It's fine. Nothing bad happened. And, now we kind of touched on this as my daughter got older. Thank God there is this, for most, I know not for everyone, but this natural progression of they get more independent, they get easier, they don't have as many needs, we don't need to worry as much. And so that did happen. Yes, new challenges arise, but they never compared to newborn baby stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, wrestling with whether or not to have another was really important to honor myself. I remember reading somewhere, I'm sure it was perinatal mood disorder related, but it was like a mom said, if I have another, those 2 children will have half of a mom versus the one I have now having a whole mom. And that just really stuck with me. So just honoring me. And, it's everyone like is different, and I'm standing with the parents that decide not to have children. I stand with them, I probably don't have as much to, the parents that decided to have 8 children. I probably wouldn't have as much in common, but I respect their choice. But it like you said, it is my family, my choice, period, right?
Yes.
Whatever fits for you and your family. But that was important. That was an important piece for my healing to recognize. And it was hard. My husband wanted more. I mean, it was really hard.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I knew he'd want me to be happy and thrive instead of thinking just because we checked off the box that said, okay, we had another.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's amazing that that speaks to the importance of communication in your relationship. But yes, absolutely, like, you deserve your happiness and you deserve to feel like a whole person. I had another guest say something like, adding a child into the mix is never going to solve anything. It's not going to solve anything. So it doesn't mean, like, if you want a child, like, don't have a kid, because it doesn't mean having a kid is going to mess everything up. It just means adding a child is not going to fix problems that are or right. struggles that are already existing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I love seeing your passion and hearing your passion, because it is validating. It's so important for new parents to hear that they're not alone, that this is really freaking hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
The older generations are trying to tell us, like, well, we didn't have all the things. We didn't have tablets, and we didn't have that. Like, what are you complaining about? Mama, complain, okay? You can complain to me. Yeah, it sounds like you can complain to Marissa. Like,
yeah.
It's okay. Yeah. It's okay to say that it's hard. So I think this is going to be really important for a lot of people to hear. This feels like my I always call it my big sigh moment. Like, okay. Like, we got that off our chest.
Yeah.
I have like one of two questions that I ask at the end of an episode, and I like to take the whole episode to think about it. And I think I've decided on yours.
Okay.
You actually touched on it a couple of times, but if you could go back in time, you cannot tell yourself what you're going to experience. You can't. It's not like you can say, like, hey, this is going to be hard, so learn how to do this. But you can instill something within yourself. So it could be like an attribute, or it could be just like something to hold on to, a word, a phrase, anything. What would you instill within yourself?
Yeah, I know it. It'd be chutzpah.
So I love it.
The reason I say that is because I have encountered a couple moms who experienced what I experienced without the shame and the despair. They just somehow knew themselves so well, and they said, like, one mom was like, I get exactly what you're saying. Like, she didn't bond, but she wasn't falling apart. She even said, I talked to my baby and I said, look, I don't get this thing. I'm going to protect you. I would lay my life on the line for you, but you got to give me some time. She's saying this to the baby, right? You got to give me some time, because I don't get this mother thing. And she'd even said, I would travel and be very active, and now I'm just planted in the sofa breastfeeding this baby. You're like, her life had completely changed, but she just didn't have the sadness that I had, or the depression, or even feeling bad about herself. So I don't know why I came up with chutzpah, but I don't.
It makes
know it's a Yiddish word.
Me.
Yeah. Like
because it's that like, I'm envisioning, just like that mom you're describing, just like, this is what it is, kid. Like, hey, this sucks. But I'm okay, and we'll get there.
Yeah,
right? Like, this is okay. Well, guess this is what we're doing. So,
like, it didn't shake her. It didn't shake her. I'm sure she wasn't thrilled, but it didn't disrupt. Well, it disrupted, but it just didn't shake her. I was going to say,
I'm curious if it did shake her, and she didn't. If it shook her on some level, but maybe it didn't. Maybe it didn't.
Yeah, maybe it didn't. True.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Yeah.
Marissa, this has been such a refreshing conversation. It is so nice to be able to talk about the hard and to talk about it in a real way.
Yeah.
And I also really like viewing postpartum mental health through a different lens.
Yeah.
And having it be a result rather than the cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's anybody that knows me, I love to learn, and I love to look at every angle, and I love to look at every perspective. So that's a perspective I hadn't explored, and it's really interesting to me.
It is. Yeah, I think it is too.
Yeah, well, yeah, clearly. Where can my listeners find you so they can find your book and they can find you talking about what you're passionate about?
Yep. So my brand is Postpartum Happiness. So at Postpartum Happiness is like TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. Website is postpartumhappiness.com. There's the book and all kinds of other resources and phone number, email, all that's right there.
And all of your socials and your website will be linked in the show notes. So listeners, check the show notes for sure. But Marissa, thank you. This was very refreshing, and I appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Marissa, thank you for sharing your story and for helping to end the cycle of shame that so many new parents face when the reality of parenting isn't what they expected. This is hard, and it's okay to talk about it. Listeners, make sure you check the show notes to find out how to get a copy of Marissa's book and to follow along as she advocates for all moms to share their experiences. You can keep up with us on Quiet Connection by following us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at Quiet Connection Podcast. You can help our community grow by leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and consider sharing our episodes on social media. To share your personal journey, you can contact us through our website at quietconnectionpodcast.com or by email at quietconnectionppmh@gmail.com. Join us next time when another story is told and you realize you are not alone. I see you.